All right.
I guess I should be thankful this season.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? We have another episode of Game Time Excellence where we talk about your mission, mindset, mastery, and maintenance. Today, we have another special guest. Her name is Arielle Chambers. She is the voice of Highlight Her and talent at Bleacher Report. She's been all around the world modeling, cheerleading, volleyball, just whatever you name. She's probably done it before. For the people that don't know who you are, that should know who you are, can you tell them a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I think you got it covered. You just gave me a nice little spiel and rundown, so that's great. I love to see it. Truly love to see somebody can nail my bio. No, but my name is Arielle Chambers, and I go by Ari. I'm really well known in the WNBA community because my whole purpose is to amplify women's voices
Mm,
in stories. And recently, ever since I started working at BR, I've I've been introduced to other leagues like the NWSL, NWHL,
mm.
AU Pro Sports, which is softball and volleyball, and they're introducing lacrosse as well. So just being an amplifier for women's sports stories.
That's big right there. And like I was, we have a mutual friend now. I'm gonna call her a friend, Camille Buxita. She told
Yeah.
me I needed to reach out to you because you were super dope. And as I read your bio, I was like, man, she's not lying. This girl has done
That's like
everything.
Philly Cam, and that's good to know she's gassing me up.
Yeah, she was, she had a lot of great things to say about you. And just like I said to her, I said that, women's sports should get, way more exposure than it does. And so it's cool to see people like her and you um give that shine that light on women's sport. So what got you to that point? Like what made you want to go down this path?
A lot of people use women's sports as a stepping stone to get to men's sports, but ever
Mm,
since I was little, I intentionally knew I wanted to stay on the women's side. Like I made a very intentional, um, decision in my career that I wanted to cover women's stories and only women's stories.
mm-hmm,
So I've had opportunities to cover the men's side, but I just, I wouldn't feel good about myself knowing that we're not where we need to be on the women's side and getting those stories out because only 4% of media actually covers, women's sports.
oh
So
wow.
just being very conscious of that and knowing that I am a woman and a black woman, so I'm representing or being the voice of or the megaphone for a league that's 80% black women,
Mm-hmm,
that to me is a responsibility, and I owe them that. I owe the public that. And I owe the players that. Like the players are, I love them, and I think that they stand for so much more than what they do on the court. And so, just getting out and getting those off the court stories, that's where my
mm-hmm.
spot is. But that's always been very much my thing to stay on the women's side.
Right, right. No, that's really dope, and that's cool that you take ownership in being part of that, and not just using this as a stepping stone. You see this a lot as far as like coaches. They go from they coach at a university like I went to the University of Wyoming, and they coach there for 2 years, and they're just using that to get to a bigger program. And you're all about building something from the ground up, and that's kind of what you did at Highlight Her. You built that from the ground up to 90,000, which is crazy. So, how was that process right there too?
So look, I I'm sure we'll get into my background, but before I worked at BR, I used to talk to my friends who played in the league, and I would record them on my cell phone and
Mm-hmm.
post the interviews up online. And BR actually found me and was like, basically, do you want to start up our women's platform?
Mm,
And I was like, I don't know about a corporate job. I don't know about this. But ended up ended up saying yes, and like very very grateful for that chance
mm-hmm.
because what it did was open my eyes to the whole spectrum of women's sports and culture and not
Mm-hmm.
just women's basketball. But when I inherited it, it had no followers and it was named something else and it just didn't make sense to me. So I was in charge of the rebranding of it and, really getting it going from the ground up. And what's unique about Highlight Her is we did it organically. We didn't have that big press run. We still haven't had the big press run that you see a lot of others having. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't have we're not on the market yet, and so it's things like this that creates an organic and authentic community.
Mm-hmm.
People who are really excited about women doing dope things. In no matter what sport, age, ability, level, like it's a community for women to celebrate themselves and for
Right.
allies to appreciate it too.
Yeah, and we're not just gonna skip over. So you were just recording, like,
Ciao. So when I got to New York,
mhm,
I started basically cheerleading for the Knicks, Rangers, and the Liberty. And the Liberty
okay,
has a cheerleading squad called Torch Patrol. And so every summer, this is like my glory days. I love when my friends come in town because a lot of my friends played in the W. They still play in the W. And
mhm,
so I would see that their stories weren't being covered. So I just hit them up and be like, yo, can we sit in front of my cell phone and
mhm,
upload these to Twitter and YouTube? And
right,
they were very gracious about it. And back then, nobody was really recording things on their phone, and so
mhm,
it picked up traction and really did numbers. And I remember those times I would go into the locker rooms with just my phone, and the PR would look at me like, "What are you doing, sis?" And
right,
I would, "Hey, mind your business." So I would be facing up against these news stations with these big cameras and
mhm,
their way of pushing. So I would go to the player that wasn't being talked to, figure out
mm,
their story. And so that was something that I really wanted to make a push for, like the underdog.
right, right,
Not
eh,
always about these star players. I mean, great that they're star players for a reason, but just talking to the ones who might have things to say but never get the chance to. And
mm,
so building those relationships with those players and then being able to talk to the bigger names as well. Just the conjunction of that, like that was really cool. And you make friendships when they see you so much, like in the past like 10 years.
mhm,
I've been covering some of these players since they were 18 and now they're in the league and that's
mm,
dope.
right,
So
right, yeah,
being able to do that. And that's what's so special about what Camille does. It's like she gets them in high school. And so by
mhm,
the time they do make it to the league, that's like fam for them, right? And
right,
so we're able to get stories from them that other reporters can't because other reporters are just like on the pros. So that's what I
mm,
love about Highlighter. It's like all ages, abilities, levels, no matter what sport. And so I get to like grow with them and that.
yeah, no, that's really dope, and I love the fact that you and Camille are so big on like stories. You know what I mean? Stories are so big. That's why people love movies. That's why people love reading books. That's why people love, just like the underdog story in sports. And so I think that's really dope that you talk to the players that weren't getting the coverage because many times, those players, have really interesting stories as well. They just don't get the same amount of coverage as your Maya Moores or your Tom Brady's or things like that. And so let's real quick though. I did research something very interesting because you talked about your cheerleading endeavors and you did cheerlead at a high level,
Mhm.
but you did say something that was like just kind of baffled me a little bit. It
Mhm.
may be true. I just don't know if it's
Oh,
true or not.
if I said it, it's facts. Anyways,
Okay,
what?
it's facts. Okay. Well, you said that at the cheerleading worlds,
Mhm.
there are more people there than at the Super Bowl. Is
100%.
is that actually true?
It's actually true. It's Googleable. The facts are there. But you got to realize that this is a world championship. So as opposed to two teams playing, you
Mm-hmm.
have teams from all over the world playing. And this is pre-COVID, obviously, the
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID numbers. But it's levels 5 and 6 cheerleading, and I believe it's just still just senior level. But you have them from what happens with worlds is there's a international preliminary and then a United States preliminary because US we have so many teams
Mm-hmm.
and the top teams make it to the next day
Mm-hmm.
and they face off against the international teams and then that's when the rankings happen. But definitely if you don't know about the cheerleading world, but especially the all-star cheerleading world, I only did all-star cheerleading growing up. I mean, I cheered in school maybe like 2 of those years, but like
Mm-hmm.
the rest of when I was 18, I had been cheering for 13 years. The rest of those 13 years were all-star cheerleading. And so what it is, we don't cheer for anybody, we compete. And so
Right,
you
right.
practice multiple times a week and you compete on the weekends. And it's like, it's a sport. You go head to head with other people. There's a numerical value
Mm-hmm.
in place. There's stunting, jumping, tumbling, acrobatics. And it's a huge world. And
Right,
I
right.
really encourage people to, before they like part the lips and say cheerleading ain't this, ain't that, go turn it on. YouTube Cheer Extreme, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
see. Like that's my home gym, but back then it was called Champion Cheer Gym. Anyway, but you'll see the cheerleaders. Like we out here, we're lit.
No, I definitely believe it. I've so going to Oklahoma State, we had a lot of cheerleaders who,
Oh yeah, y'all, you know what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. So, and cheerleading, I don't believe the
That was a really good
cheerleading where
co-ed team, by the way.
who
Really good.
OSU.
Yeah, a
Oh yeah,
co-ed cheerleading team.
yeah. OSU's pretty. We're pretty good at everything.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Heard.
so so I do definitely believe cheerleading is a sport. You definitely have to be athletic and flexible and have good body coordination to do all that stuff right there. I just
Y'all
don't.
throw balls, we throw people. Just keep that in mind. Y'all throw balls, we throw people.
That's a good point. I mean, not everyone throws people. So just a certain few. It's only like
If you
5.
don't throw people, you throw yourself. If you're not in the stunt sequence, you're in the front tumbling. Either way, you're throwing
Okay.
more. Just saying, just throwing that out.
That is a good point. I can't really argue with that. That is a good point.
That one.
I have a goal this year of doing the splits. So that's my goal this year. The front splits and the side splits. So I'm getting pretty close. I just want to get more flexible this year. That's my goal. So just getting back to your story though. Just get back to your story. How did you get to the point where like your mission to where you are now? Like who kind of ingrained this type of mindset in you to want to empower women's sports? Is there something like a pivotal point in your high school career or middle school career or anything like that?
Yeah, so growing up, I've just always been surrounded by powerful women. Like my
Mm,
mom's the boss, she's very, she's very powerful, Southern Belle, but she's very powerful.
mm,
And then seeing coaches like Sylvia Hatchell and Kay Yao, I'm from Raleigh, born and raised, 919 all day. So NC State's women's basketball head coach was Kay Yao, and she was a successful coach, and she left a legacy. She died of breast cancer. But she left a legacy. That's why we play for Kay. I don't know if you've seen the Pink Games, but that was the impact. She had such an impact on so many people that you see her legacy transcend. And so ever since 1997, which was my first time I ever went to the NC State women's basketball games, I knew I wanted to be on the women's side of basketball.
mm,
I never played, so it was like, how can I get into it? And it's
mm,
storytelling. I've always loved to write. I have books from how you write books as a project in first grade.
mm,
I have my little binded books, and I just love telling stories. And so just
mm,
translating that, and then middle school, my friends were super athletic. I was super athletic. And then high school, my best friend was Lakivia Boykin. She played at Wake Forest. She played professionally. And so just, traveling with her in the summer times and meeting all these people who would go on to play at elite levels, that
mm.
was cool. And just being friends with them, knowing
Right.
that, I'd be like, does this need to get out now? Because I was on the school newspaper, I was
Right.
on yearbook and all that. And
Mm,
so it just has always been something. It just is a perfect merge of both of my loves between writing and storytelling and then
mm.
sports.
Okay.
My hobbies held it down. They held
Yeah.
it down.
No, that's really cool though, and that's crazy. So you kind of built your whole career on just like connections, relationships, and storytelling. Is that like a good way to put it in a way?
Yeah, no, it's just, creating and fostering relationships without any intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. Like when you can recognize people as human, that's great.
Right.
And so they start trusting you. And then there's a thin line, because when you are friends with them, it's like, things, but do you release them, or do you
Right.
wraps? But just knowing how to tread that line, because any reporter who has been in it a long time is going to lie to you if they say that they don't know things that they could have reported.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
just working on that trust and having those checks and balances along the way. So fostering those relationships and utilizing your strengths is a
Mm-hmm.
great way to put it, how I ended up here.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and it's funny that you say that as far as like, when you have these type of friendships,
Mhm.
what do you report? Because I heard Stephen A. Smith kind of talk about that with Allen Iverson. Him and Allen Iverson had a close relationship, and some things he didn't report, just because of the friendship. Have you had that instant
Oh,
come
like
up for
every
you?
day. Every day. I
Okay.
know about injuries. I know about movement. I know
Mm,
about a lot of stuff that but it's that, what's the cost for it? So what
Mm.
I do at Highlight Her, I don't necessarily have to break news.
Mm-hmm.
And before that I was a writer, so I was responsible for that, but I don't necessarily have to break news. But last summer there was a case where some players felt like they weren't being heard, so they came to me and drafted out something so I could tweet it out. It
Mm.
created great controversy. Like
Mm.
by great I mean an abundance of controversy.
Right,
Not
right.
not great for me,
Mm-hmm.
but that was a case where they were like, "We trust you with our story. We know you won't manipulate our words. Can you please get this
Mm.
out? We're not being heard. We know that people will
Mm.
listen
Right,
if it's
right.
put out from a credible source." So those are the only type of instances where I break do I do it? Do I not?
Mm-hmm.
But if a player like calls me up and be like, "Yo, just tore my ACL," I'm like, "Hey, you want me to break this, or you want me to wait?" And they're like, wait for the team. Okay, I'll
Right.
wait for the team.
I
Or
got you.
I'm about to go to this other team, and I'm like, what you want? And then
Right.
you never
Yeah,
know.
yeah. No, that makes total sense right there. And especially when you build, when like you say, you foster relationships, you want to maintain those relationships past 10 years, 15 years. You want it to last a lifetime rather than a short period of time.
But there's a cop, it's like I did break a story about an injury 2 years ago, and it pissed
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people off. But it was like, the story, like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't my like necessary close friend, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't want to disrespect you, but I have to do my job. So
Right,
the
right.
understanding that I have to do my job too plays into it too.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes total sense. And I'm pretty sure you went through some adversity, some struggles along your way. And, I'm really big on how do you handle, adversity? Everyone can handle things when everything is, going good and like that. But how do you handle adversity and tough times? So how have you been able to build a strong mindset to handle adversity and tough times?
I get really stressed a lot. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a really good tribe around me. So
Mm-hmm.
keeping people who have genuine intentions and who have your best interest at heart around you and who can really give it to you real too. That's
Right.
that's another thing. They're not just yes people. They really give it to you real. Be like, look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let you cry for 30 minutes, but let me let you know where you went wrong.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so just having the right people around you, and then I have my faith. I'm really really strong in my faith.
Mm-hmm.
On the South, we ain't got no other option. But just praying and just like, Lord,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever you need me to do, let work through me and
Mm-hmm.
let me be a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've gotten the things that were meant for me because I framed it that way.
Right.
And anytime I get overwhelmed or things like that, instead of saying, "Oh God, I have to do this," I'm like, "I get to do this because this is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in sports. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, have my name be out there for the right things and
Mm-hmm.
that fall into my lap and the work that comes my way. I'm busy for a reason. This is
Right.
everything I prayed for. So why am I going to get frazzled and so upset when I have so much to do when this is exactly
Right.
what I wanted?
Right.
So just changing that mentality from, "Oh, I have to do this to I get to do this," is
Mm-hmm.
great, and keeping good people around.
Right. That's so powerful right there. Just being able to shift your focus from, what you said, from being like I have to I get to. And, I think that's like very, insightful, everything you say, keeping a good tribe around you. Not having people that just tell you yes because uh when things do go wrong, if you
You can always see who your real friends are under your Instagram picture when they comment. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, yes," and then you have your friends like, "Girl, who you fooling?" Like, you know what I mean? The ones that will really check you. I
right,
love
right.
that.
Yeah. And and so how have you been able to, differentiate the people who are really there for you or just there for you because of what you can bring them?
I've had the same best friend, who is Krishan Williams, since I was 5, and then I have
Mm-hmm.
another best friend, Lakivia Boykin, since I was 14. Then I have
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, Chloe, um, Alex, Faven, Amanda. Like I know who I'm really really close with,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't necessarily want for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever new people come into my life, I welcome them. I welcome
Mm-hmm.
them without any type of weighted expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you set high expectations. I mean, I'm not saying I set low ones, but I'm saying when you set a certain expectation of level of loyalty and somebody doesn't match that, then that's when like you get angry and
Mm-hmm.
you get let down. But I've just had such a strong tribe that I don't necessarily need anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But if people come, that's welcome. Like I welcome it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't put all my eggs in those baskets because I do have a solid group from 25 years and counting.
I got you. That's really cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, some people don't have those solid 25-year and
How
counting
Miss
type friends.
Prashana stuck with me for life. Miss Jasmine, Kiwi,
Mm-hmm.
actually stuck with me for life. So
Right. Well, shout out to all of them. We'll just tag them when I post this. Just tag all of them, and you guys better share this since you guys did it.
I called you out by name. You got it. Anyway.
Yeah. And so as far as women in this role, being journalists, telling stories, um, how can especially women of color, how can they get their start if they want to start this journey of being a journalist, of being a storyteller, of being a person that's empowering other women or other just sports in general? What advice would you give them to get their start?
Do it on your own.
Mm,
Don't wait for a big company to hire you, because what happens is big companies are looking for people who've already like made the move
mm,
and okay. Bleacher looks for people that are disruptive, right? You
mm,
can't be disruptive if you're waiting. And
mm,
I'm sure that's what the blanket statement for all companies is. We're looking for people who occupy this white space that that we haven't seen before. So in order to be that original, in order to really shake things up in the culture, you're going to have to do it without permission.
mm,
So like I said, when I was filming on my phone before people were doing that, everybody's like, "What the heck is she doing?" But it
right.
created a product that people hadn't seen before. Like I'd be at the Final Four, everybody's asking about like retention and da da da. I'm
Mm,
like, what's like let's jam. And so I'll be like dancing with players. I'd be like, rapping with them. We would have like a freestyle. Like we would go one year just beating on lockers and spitting with them. And
right.
that I found my place as your homegirl from around the way. I found
Mm,
my place as like the relatable like chick that's gonna ask you about
mm,
some basketball, then she's gonna rap with you on the next thing. You know what I mean? So
mm,
it's like find your place in things, but don't wait for that yes. Be your
mm,
own yes and
right.
figure it out. I saw a meme the other day that was like, don't ask for help with your ideas, ask for feedback from your execution. And it's just
Mm,
that that's where the place that people should be coming from instead of waiting for somebody to tell you how to do it, just do it and
mm.
like let them help polish it after.
Right, right, right. No, I love that. Shoot, repeat that meme one more time because I want to regurgitate that myself.
Yeah, it was something like, don't ask for advice on your ideas, ask for feedback on your execution.
Mm, that's so big, and that's what you did. I mean, that's exactly what you did, and
I didn't even ask for feedback. Shit, I was like, here's me, take it or leave it. But yeah,
right, right,
yeah, that's exactly what I did.
right. No, I love it, and the thing is, I think people get caught up in it needs to be perfect
Mm-hmm,
before they start.
mm-hmm.
And how did you move past like that place? Like, okay, it needs to be perfect, or I'm just gonna do it, and I'm okay with the product that I'm gonna put out, and I'm gonna get better as I go along.
First of all, you just have to ask, like, what is perfection? What does that look like if you were to get, like, what is your idea of perfection? So
Mm,
I never wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be relatable. That's
mm,
where I was coming from. I was coming from a
right.
place like, hey, I don't see these stories being told. I don't know this player on a personal level. I need to share what's relatable about this player, and I don't think perfection is
Mm,
relatable at all. So
mm,
um, yeah, I never worried about that. I knew that some of the things I look back and I'm cringing because they're a little janky. But hey,
right.
hey, if it gives somebody the courage to step in front of the camera for the first time, so be
Mm,
it. If it gives somebody the courage of like, hey, I don't have the resources to do everything I want to do, it gives them an example of how yes, you do. As long
mm,
as you have a phone, you have everything you need because you have a
mm,
free branding and a website from social media between
mm,
Twitter and Instagram. LinkedIn is a really underestimated social media platform too. Um, you have everything you need right at your fingertips. So
right, right.
utilize it. And why wait? Why wait for a big production?
Mm,
Most of the things we do now are on Zoom anyway. So like
right.
that's going
Exactly.
right back to that little piece of technology.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part about this, and I think, COVID-19 was hit everyone hard in different ways. I mean, whether it's financially, whether it's mental health, or whether it's actually like the disease. You know what I mean? And but I also think it created some different perspectives and some new ideas. Just like this Zoom right here, I wouldn't have been able to do this podcast with you if it honestly if it wasn't
Exactly.
for that whole pandemic. And so
Exactly.
so why wait? I love that. Why wait? Get started. And so I have this saying, my B plus work is better than my unfinished A plus work. And
Period.
uh, so I love everything you just said right there. And speaking of stories, what story that you have done which one has impacted you the most?
Probably, okay, so June and well, May through now, we've been, marching on the front lines. I mean, and granted, we've been marching for a while now. Let's not get
Mm-hmm.
twisted, but people in 2020 really had to take a look in the mirror and see like what is going on. How can I make a difference? And so as
Mm-hmm.
I'm marching on these front lines for Black Lives Matter and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and running for Ahmaud Arbery, I was talking to players too, and I talked to Tiara from Pratt. She plays for the Sparks, and she was telling me how her cousin got murdered at the hands of the police
Mm-hmm.
the night she found out she was going to be in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Mystics were like, "Yeah, we got you," like come to camp, she found out that her cousin had died in the hands of police. And so just being able to put the humanity behind the whole Black Lives Matter movement was really impactful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just hearing like, I mean, even though it was 2013, it was still like heavy in her voice and her heart, and just being
Right.
able to expose that was really special. And the fact that she trusted, me to tell the story too. Granted, she's like very, very brave, and so she tells it often. But like just being able to hear her words and her perspective of it and
Mm-hmm.
her experience, because she is a woman that exists, and so she doesn't, she has different experiences than her male cousins. But
Mm-hmm.
just hearing her navigate that space and how she's been able to show up as a basketball player in the midst of all this, knowing that it hits a little differently for her.
Right, right. No, 100%. And you can hear it in your voice, just being able to have, empathy as someone that's telling this, and you being doing the marches and all that. And where you are now, what are you doing to continue to push the empowerment, not only for women, but the empowerment for Black lives as well?
Well, I'm a walking example of like
Mm-hmm.
I can't turn off my activism because
Mm-hmm.
I literally I don't shut up, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like present on social media. So just educating people. Do I have the capacity of explaining to every non-person of color what they should do? Absolutely not. But
Mm-hmm.
I will post on my time about what I feel and how I feel like an
Mm-hmm.
ally should be, and that's going to be different for every person. It's going to reflect differently on every person. But just I'm going to take the Arielle Atkins approach. Arielle, she plays for the Mystics, and
Mm-hmm.
she every time before a game, she would put a picture of a Black woman who was murdered at the hands of police, which is like
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy how she was able to do that for every game.
Mm-hmm.
We're still counting them, so like that
Right.
itself.
Yeah.
But just educating through social media right now, just being mindful of everything with COVID, but still being on the front lines marching.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda White and Chelsea Miller, they co-founded Freedom March NYC, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there on the front lines with them a lot. I mean, and they're younger. I think Nia just turned 18 and Chelsea's 22, and just for
Mm-hmm.
them to be able to mobilize in the biggest city like that and make
Mm-hmm.
such impact is just outstanding. So I'm like, if they can mobilize like that, the least I can do is show up to the protest.
Right.
The least I
Right.
can do is, march with them and then when they scream Black women to the front, that thing is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like just hearing Black women to the front and like for
Right.
not be overlooked or in our own movement, because you
Mm-hmm.
don't even consider like with Black Lives Matter, you see a lot of people trying to take the narrative and run a different direction where it's
Right.
like we're saying we matter. Like, don't kill us.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what it is.
Right.
But being able to do that, tell your story, and be present and be consistent. That's my focus for 2021.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, and the fact that everyone has, everyone doesn't have to be in the front line. Everyone doesn't have to pose. Everyone, so it's cool to see, the way you're doing it, and in the way,
Everybody's advocacy is different.
yeah, exactly.
A lot of people aren't comfortable going to protests, which makes sense. Like we're in the middle of a pandemic, people are crazy. You don't never know if we're gonna get bombed and nothing.
Right, right.
I'm not gonna speak that because the word's powerful, but
Hmm.
then there are people that just donate, and that's
Hmm.
fine. There are people that talk to their close community of people about what's going on. That's fine.
Hmm.
Some people who can sit there with themselves and reflect, like, how can I be a better human? That's
Right.
fine too.
Hmm.
Advocacy and activism comes in so many different forms, and so that's
Right.
not to frown upon somebody who might not be as front facing. Because
Hmm.
every little bit counts because we just want change. We want
Right.
this reconciliation. We're entering a stage of reconciliation because we've been so divided, and 2020 exposed what we knew existed, but
Hmm.
had been masked this whole time because of everything that was going on with the world. But 2020 made us sit down and sit with the fact that we're not as progressive as we think we are. And
Right. Right.
so going forward, I mean, that's a hard reality for a lot of people. So
Hmm.
I encourage people to exercise self-care through all that too. You can't be on
Hmm.
the front lines marching and be imploding. That's what I
Right. Right.
was drowning as I was marching. So every time I would come home, I would be weeping, and that just didn't make
Hmm.
sense. It didn't make sense. It's
Right.
not healthy for my life either. So yeah, encourage you to go
Yeah.
your own way.
No, I love that. I love that. And you kind of transitioned us, very perfectly. And before we hit that though, is one of my friends posted, Martin Luther King Day just passed, and one of my friends posted a couple pictures I've never seen of Martin Luther King. And a lot of times you see Martin Luther King in a black and white picture, and it makes it seem like it was so long ago. And then he posted pictures in color, and I was like, and if you think about it, he if he didn't get assassinated, he would have still be, barring any health things like that. But he'll still be alive right now, and so that stuff wasn't that long ago.
No, these are our parents. Literally one generation back.
Yeah,
One.
yeah. So it's crazy, and so just the transition though. You talked about taking care of yourself, maintenance, and I think this is a M that gets thrown in the trash a lot by a lot of people, and um, many times we get caught up in the hustle bustle of life, goals, dreams, family,
Mhm.
and we forget about ourselves. And so my question to you is, what do you do to take care of yourself on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. I could be way better. I'm not gonna sit here and feed you a false narrative how I wake up and do yoga and drink
Hmm.
a grass shot because that's not what I do.
Right.
Um, I love drinking coffee. Coffee makes me happy, and these
Hmm.
are little things. Like I could be addicted to worse, but
Hmm.
um, drinking my venti soy latte from Starbucks, that's just something that I treat myself to every
Right.
single day without miss. I love playing with my dog, and I just love creating. So whether that be writing or drawing,
Hmm.
like I'm a really good artist, and I don't tell a lot of people that, but like
Hmm.
art is cool for me. But just really drinking coffee and playing with little Tiger.
Okay, little tiger, little tiger. We the people can't see him right now, but he is a adorable little dog. He's an adorable
He's
little dog.
so cute. He's 11 years old, so he's like a grandpa. But
Mm.
he's expected to live till 19, so we don't have to worry about that until 8 more years. But
Okay.
yeah, just doing the little things. They go.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely believe, taking care of yourself is so important. And uh, many times, we spend so much time on the physical things, but we forget about digging deep within. I mean, asking ourselves like just simple questions. What are we passionate about? What do you love? What's your why? How do you want to be remembered? What don't you like? What I mean? And then when it's all said and done, what do you really want? And so, I challenge people all the time to just sit down and ask yourself some of those questions, and then write a love letter to yourself.
Yeah.
People will be surprised of how you feel after you write a love letter to yourself.
100%. And then it's funny because when you do write those things, you focus on the good things. You intentionally focus on the good things. Because a
Mm.
lot of times, you know, with what we do, we get a lot of things where it's like, oh God, imposter syndrome. Like
Mm.
last year, I really struggled with all the press and everything that I was getting because I'm like, that's not what it's not. I don't want to put myself in the center of this, but just to be able to like not be like, why am I here? Just be like, I'm here because that's
Right.
cool. To be like, instead of saying, oh God, I need to work on this, I can be like, I did this well. It's just
Mm-hmm.
about changing perspective. And that is a form of self care, to lead with
Mm-hmm.
gratitude and lead with positivity instead of just, you know, oh God, I could have done this, I could have done that.
Right. Right.
Live in the moment, be present, and love yourself.
Yeah, love yourself is key. Everyone, if you're listening to this right now, love yourself seriously. And imposter syndrome, you know what I mean? You kind of like hit me in the gut right there because that's something, I'm always battling with because I get on stages and speak to different people. I do coaching calls. I'm doing this podcast right now, and there's times where I'm like, Shamil, somebody's gonna find you out. You know what I mean? You say
Yeah.
like little stuff like that to yourself. How do you deal with that? Because you're in the light is shined on you on a regular basis. So how do you deal with that as well?
Yeah, again, that goes back to my tribe. I remember when I found out that I made Forbes because I woke up to hundreds of text messages. They don't tell you beforehand, by the way. But you wake up to hundreds of text messages and you're like, oh God, I'm next to these people who just like are venture capitalists and who have just like turned around $24 million. I'm like, how did I even get here? But then
Right.
I'm like, okay, my purpose was to tell women's stories, and I've done that, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been integral in opening up opportunities for people to tell women's stories. So just
Mm,
refocusing on what your passion is, like what you just said, what your passion is, and noticing that, hey, I'm carrying out that passion. I'm literally
mm,
doing it. And once you're doing it, you're like, okay, I'm getting all these flowers. Might as well take them right now
right.
before because people get tired. People get
Right. Right.
and then it's like there are gonna be ebbs and flows of everything. It's gonna be ups and downs of everything. Your season's gonna come, it's gonna go, and it's gonna come back again. And so while my season's here, I need to be appreciative because if
Mm,
God has put me in this place where I can receive all these blessings, I need to be ready for them.
right.
Right? I need to be ready to be like, oh, these are the fruits of my labor.
Mm,
So that fruit while I can before the little fruit ripes. I have to wait for my next one. Is it bloom?
right.
I don't do farming, but yes. What is
Right.
it
Right.
called? Season?
You said.
Crop? Anyway, we're not gonna get cropping as black people. But yes, yes.
No, I love it. So yeah, I didn't want to go down that path with you because
So,
we would have been stuck. We need, I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan, but I need to get like a Jamie where he like looks up this stuff. He has like an assistant on his show that
have that
like,
producer on the side and be like, hey,
yeah, that's what I need right there. But no, I think that's 100%. And I think it's so weird that people um don't feel comfortable accepting, hey, you did a good job, or man, congratulations. Like something inside of me cringes when someone like compliments me or something like that. You know what I mean? So, and then like celebrating your wins. But that's something you should do because just like you said, everyone has a season and there's ebbs and flows and where you go in your life. So why not accept the roses and celebrate yourself, during this period of time. So that's cool that you said that. Um,
100%.
yeah, and so I have a question that I ask everyone on this show. Is what do you think the meaning of life is?
Um, that's so heavy. I just think the meaning is to leave it better than you got here.
Mm-hmm.
So the meaning of life to me is to live it purely, but give back as you're living.
Mm-hmm.
So there's seasons for everything coming and going, and we're a part of those seasons. We come and go.
Mm-hmm.
But what's life if you don't leave like your legacy behind? So life is about that, giving
Mm-hmm.
back, leaving a legacy, and fixing what you think is broken.
Okay. Okay. No, I like that. And legacy. What type of when it's all said and done, what type of legacy would you have wanted to leave?
That already pushed women forward.
Mm, no,
I
I
that's,
like that.
that's all I want. I want to say like, hey, she made an impact. She was very much solidly a woman
Mm-hmm.
that really looked out for women
Mm-hmm. No,
and
I
black.
love that. You
Rooting
said
for
that who?
and blacks.
Okay.
Rooting for everybody black.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And what are some I got one more question, a couple more questions for you, but What are some struggles you have, being a woman of color, in the journaling field? What are some struggles you've been through? And we haven't even mentioned this yet. I think I said it in the beginning, but we haven't really touched on it. You do modeling, so you were on runways, and you do. From my research, you do more fitness modeling now.
Now I do. Yeah,
Um,
I gained 30 pounds. I'm a size 4. Heaven forbid.
okay, yeah. So, what are some struggles you have been through in your life that has, kind of shaped you and made you who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like with any job or career, people are
Mm,
still digesting the fact that women work, which is confusing.
mm,
Um, so, and then especially women in the sports space, oh God. But if I
mm,
paid attention to all the criticism and critiques that people, had for me, I wouldn't have kept going. So
mm,
what I do is I put blinders on, and because I run my own platform, I don't have to listen to the people who are very critical of it. I
mm,
do it my way, and I think that that's what makes it unique. My
mm,
my woman approach, my black woman approach,
mm,
my very communal approach. So just doing it your way unapologetically, and don't listen to the things that are just completely like irrelevant if they're not paying you, if they're not, you know what I mean? Like
mm,
if they don't have anything to do with your success, you don't even need to pay it mine. I've never been one to work off of haters. I'm like,
mm.
let me share my passion with people, not let me prove people wrong. Like
Right, right.
I want to prove the people who love, the things I do right, as
Mm,
opposed to people who hate what I do wrong.
right, right.
Modeling is a completely different ballgame. When I first started back in 2009, I was 18 years old,
Mm,
and we had to be 5'9" to 5'11", 34, 24, 34.
mm,
And I was 5'11", 34, 24, 34. I am not that now. I've gained
mm,
34 pounds
mm,
completely, way more solid. I like
mm,
my size, and I love to be, I love my friends who
right.
are still size 00. Each
Mm,
size matters.
mm,
But I knew that I just wanted to perform. I wanted to be on a big stage, and
mm,
Runway did that. Now,
mm,
now I get to do things that are more in alignment with my personal brand.
right.
So again, women's sports, so fitness brands. Like I work a lot with Jordan Brand. Freaking love
Mm,
them. They
mm,
align with my beliefs. Work a lot with Foot Locker. They have me on their IG lives hosting, so I get to talk
mm,
about black stuff.
mm.
Love that.
Right,
I
right.
work, Puma sometimes, and then they never ask questions when I'm like, hey, can I do this pull? It's
Mm,
just like great to be able to work with clients who can really appreciate you as you,
mm,
and work with you to push you and your story and your success forward.
mm. No, I love that right there. That's really cool. That and then being able to transform
Mhm.
and align yourself with people that have the same synergy as you. And so that's
Like for example, Jordan Brand, they sent me like care packages during when they saw me marching. They sent me care
mm,
packages. They didn't have to do that. This is
mm,
Jordan Brand.
right,
People
right.
in the company, and they like little old me. I'm like, oh thanks, like with handwritten cards in the packet.
Right.
That's cool, and
Mm,
that's what fitness modeling allowed me to do, because not only am I a fitness model, but I'm a host. So
mm,
yeah, I have like a little different of experience, but just
mm,
knowing that these clients are now my family, instead of just like, hey, you're gonna go to this fitting for this designer. Oh, they're gonna tell you you're busting out the clothes. You've been dropped for the job. Like
right, right,
it's
right.
not fun. Runway's not fun unless you have really great relationships with fashion clients. And I
No, I
didn't.
got you.
Now I have fitness clients.
I got you. No, that's awesome. And yeah, you're a woman of many talents. Cheerleading. A rising journalist.
Mhm.
If not, you've already,
We're always rising. We're always learning.
okay.
So
See, let's go rising. Let's go
rising.
rising it. And model,
Mhm.
artist.
Mhm.
Um,
Run it down. Run it down. I love my
let's
resume.
go.
I'm just kidding.
A a doggy
I'm a
da-
dog mama.
yeah,
Mhm.
dog mama. Shoot, you do it
Like,
all. And so last question for you, our last two questions right here is, what's your goal for this year? Is there any like thing you're trying to make sure, any big goal you're trying to accomplish this year?
We're gonna speak in existence. I put it on Instagram in October. I'm gonna say it here. I won an Emmy. Won an Emmy this year. I am, though I've gotten Forbes, I've really never won an award for things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, outside of Forbes, even though Forbes is a big award. But I
Mm-hmm.
really want some of my content pieces to get awards as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just. So I want it to be the story of the athlete or talent that I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
is so resonating that it gets an award. So an
Right.
Emmy, I want an Emmy.
Okay. Now that's big right there. And I think everyone should have like a big dream right there. And so that's and you can accomplish it too. That's the thing about it.
Yeah, my friend Rachel, she just got two, and it's
Mm,
dope. Her story was dope. Her mom died, and then she put all of her heart into her work and got her two Emmys. And then my friend DJ Poison Ivy in Texas, she was on the Forbes class the year before me, and then got her Emmy last year. And so I just
mm,
love the track that she's on, and honestly, she's my vision board. So there we
mm.
go.
Oh, there you go, right there. No, that's really dope. And uh, is there a specific story you want to cover, or it's just anything that they may pop up this year? What's your?
Yeah, so unrelated to the Emmy, I
Mhm.
want to cover the Olympics. Who doesn't want to cover the Olympics?
Okay,
So, but with focus on the women's side.
I got you.
So
Will we have I mean, when is the Olympics supposed to be? I don't even know.
now it's 2021, summer of this year.
Do you think we'll have the Olympics with the
Yeah, I
COVID
think
now?
now that we're prepared and know how a bubble situation works, we'll be fine.
Okay, okay. The WNBA actually went through a bubble. Like I
Mhm.
said, I did some research. You called it a wobble, um,
Yeah.
but the WNBA did a fantastic job with their bubble.
The WNBA and the NWSL. The
Hmm.
WNBA in particular, I'm just always amazed by how they handle things and
Hmm.
really get it done. So shout out to them because it could have gone very wrong and it didn't.
Hmm.
So they made
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We lit.
I got you. So top five WNBA players. Your top five WNBA players
All timers.
of all time, all time.
Okay. I love. I'm gonna combine all the Houston Comets into one because I love what they stand for as a unit. Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, Cynthia Cooper, because what they've done is create a dynasty that though their program is gone, their legacy lives on. And now there's the resurgence coming up on WNBA 2025. Um, Now we're really recognizing the pioneers, and they are the pioneers of it.
Hmm.
I will say Lisa Leslie is my number two because
Okay.
um, she really shaped how to be feminine and
Hmm.
play. Like that was like my thing. I was
Hmm.
athletic growing up, and I was still like very feminine. And that's not to knock anybody who's not like be you. But
Hmm.
Lisa played with a ribbon in her hair, and I thought that thing
Hmm.
was so cool.
Right,
Tim
right.
Thompson from before, like my number one,
Hmm.
played with a red lip. Like I love stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I will say Candace Parker is my goat. I love
Hmm.
is I love everything like how she transcends generations. I love
Hmm.
how she's really created the new style of basketball that we see younger players today.
Hmm.
Um, I have to say Amanda Zahui B because she's my best friend. Like she's
Hmm.
my best friend. So nothing on basketball, but like I mean, like granted, her game's getting great, like it's improving,
Hmm.
and she's great.
Hmm.
But she's like one of my top five just because she's like really really close to me.
Right,
And
right.
I'm gonna give you an off the court situation. All my players who opted out that have been making such a difference in social justice, I'll give them my number five. I know I'm copping out by all these people and like loading them in, but Natasha
Right.
Cloud, I love what you do. Renee Montgomery, I love what you do. Angel McCoughtry, you found your voice and you're really moving forward with it. And so like things like that, I just love the off the court matters too. So
Okay. You
but
did.
if you really want to go, it's Candace Parker.
Okay. Okay. No, I love that. I love that. You did lump, a good amount of
I
people in
did.
one deal, but
You gonna check
hey,
me?
this is your deal. I'm not gonna fight you. I can't fight you over Zoom. So what I mean. Hey, you do you. So no, but I love your list though, and I
Oh,
love the
honorary mention,
explanation.
Tamika Catchings because
Okay.
her legacy really, really lives on, and she really gives back. And she's such a like she's so great on the court, and
Hmm.
she gives back so much to the game, and
Hmm.
so I love her too.
Okay, okay. And I love your reasoning too. Like most of the time people they just name people and just like
What's the
go,
name?
yeah, and that's it. But like you gave some great explanation on
You
why
guys,
you're
like,
picking these people.
I didn't play growing up, so when I saw a Tina Thompson who had that red lip, but then can appreciate the Cheryl Swoops and Cynthia Coopers of the world because
Mm-hmm.
of the way they played, and then I mean honestly Tina the way she played too, but like
Mm-hmm.
and then you see Elisa Leslie, yeah, she's dunking on everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's setting that precedent, but she has a ribbon in her hair. It's these off
Mm-hmm.
the court nuances that people who are just not into basketball
Mm-hmm.
can relate to. I'm into
Mm-hmm.
basketball, so I can appreciate both sides of it. But
Right.
just the people who just don't pay attention can be like, oh, I can be like her. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I don't play, I can be like her. I can be
Right.
dominant and I can still, rock my
Mm-hmm.
work.
Right, right. No, I love it. I love it. And now this was great insight. You allowed me to grow in many different ways, and I'm pretty sure the listeners found a ton of value into it as well. Um, and what is one thing you can leave us with to help us be a better person, help us grow and maybe achieve whatever we want to achieve in life? What is one tip you can leave us with?
I'm gonna just say, don't wait for your yes. That's gonna be my thing.
Mm,
Don't wait for your yes. If you want
yeah.
it, do it. Write it down and go after it.
Mm, okay. Don't wait for it to be perfect. That's what I
Don't
hear
wait
too.
for your yes and don't wait for perfection.
Yeah, I love
Perfection
it.
doesn't exist. What is perfection anyway?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And Arielle, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. Shout out to Camille once again. You made this happen. Yeah.
You
um,
taught me that.
and you said who taught you that?
Nimsy taught me the
Oh.
with two hands.
Yeah. How can people find you? What's the best way to find you?
Thank God I was a new communication media major in 2009 when I was in college because everything's universal. So Ari Ivory on every single social networking
Okay.
platform,
Okay.
especially Instagram and Twitter in particular.
Okay.
Ari. Mhm.
All right, we're gonna tag you on my YouTube and all that. And everyone, this was another episode of Game Time Excellence, where we talk about your mission, mindset, mastery, and maintenance. If you love what you heard, share it with a friend. If you didn't like it, still share it with a friend because they might like it. And don't trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. Do not trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you.